Suicide Squad was written and directed by James Gunn and is the sort of sequel, reboot, follow-up to Suicide Squad, which was released back in 2016 and was directed by David Ayer. So in terms of how I felt about the first Suicide Squad movie, I'm just like most people out there. I'm not a fan of that movie at all. I think it's really bad and it's very messy. However, I'll say this though, I do feel bad for David Ayer because apparently that real movie we got, Suicide Squad, was not what he wanted with that movie because apparently Warner Brothers intervened with it too much and completely screwed it all up for him, and he has since then been very disappointed with the final result. But I was very much looking forward to this new movie, The Suicide Squad, because one, it's directed by James Gunn, who I think is one of the best directors working right now in all of Hollywood, and two, this didn't look like a mess unlike the first Suicide Squad. And I'm happy to report that I had an absolute blast with The Suicide Squad. It is easily the most fun I've had in a movie all year. In fact, I think it might be the best movie of the summer. Now, unlike the first Suicide Squad, which was rated PG-13, this one is rated R, and boy, does it earn it. It justifies that R rating for sure. The second it starts, it does not hold back. The amount of gore, blood, and graphic violence in this movie is jaw-dropping, and I absolutely loved it. It is impossible to not talk about this movie without mentioning the cast. The cast was flawless. Every character was perfectly casted. Margot Robbie once again returns as Harley Quinn, and she was also in the first Suicide Squad as well as Birds of Prey. And those were two movies that I did not enjoy at all. But thankfully, I really enjoyed how Harley was portrayed here. Margot Robbie is phenomenal as this character. I think she is absolutely perfect as this character. And I think this might be the best portrayal of Harley Quinn we've had yet in a film. The rest of the cast is excellent too. Viola Davis returns to play Amanda Waller, and she is fantastic as this character, and it's Viola Davis. Like, how can you not go wrong with her? I also thought Idris Elba as Bloodsport and John Cena as Peacemaker were very entertaining. I really enjoyed seeing the banter between each other, and it really cracked me up. I've been seeing a lot of people pick their favorite characters, and honestly, I don't know if I can pick my favorite character personally. I guess if I were to pick, it would be either King Shark or Ratcatcher 2. I say in terms of which one was more entertaining to watch, I say King Shark, and Sylvester Stallone, his voice work was perfect. But in terms of which one I felt more emotion for, I'd probably say Ratcatcher 2, because even though she's technically a criminal and a villain, you still see some humanity inside her, and James Gunn does a brilliant job giving humanity in these characters who are not likable at all. They're all terrible people, but he does a really good job giving them heart and humanity even though they're all scumbags. Now, for any longtime viewers out there, you may have remembered that I've been very cynical towards DC in the past, with the exception of Shazam, which I very much enjoyed for sure. But this right here is a great step in the right direction for DC. If DC wants to make more movies in the future that are in the same veins as this, I have no problem with it at all. It just feels so refreshing seeing DC make a movie that are about lesser known characters and more obscure characters, rather than just making another movie focused on like a really, really well-known character like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Now don't get me wrong, I love those characters. I love those guys just as much as the next person, but I'm gonna be honest, it does sometimes tend to feel that DC only makes movies that are solely focused just on them. But it just feels so refreshing seeing them make a movie about lesser known characters and more obscure characters that are given the spotlight for once, and not just like all these beloved characters that everyone knows. Like, it's always okay to give other characters a chance to shine in the spotlight. As for issues, there wasn't really anything that bothered me that much, to be honest. Like, searching for issues in the Suicide Squad is almost impossible. Well, I guess if I were to pick one issue that didn't really bother me, but maybe just one issue, it would be that the movie slowed down a little bit in the middle part. It didn't get boring, it just kind of just slowed down a little bit. but I'll at least give it a pass because the only reason why they slowed down was just to focus more on the other characters and to develop more of their arcs. But overall, guys, I thoroughly enjoyed The Suicide Squad. I loved it. It is easily the most fun I've had in a movie all year so far. And I'm pleased to report that The Suicide Squad has beaten Shazam as my favorite movie in the DCEU. I give The Suicide Squad a 9 out of 10. DC, it's good to have you back. So, what are your thoughts on The Suicide Squad? Whatever they are, just leave them in the comments below. And if you want to see more of my videos, just be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more great content.